So now I am going to discuss about cytoplasmic inheritance in contrast to nuclear or chromosomal inheritance. Cytoplasmic inheritance. Cytoplasmic inheritance. What is the meaning of cytoplasmic inheritance? See here, this is a cell, right? It is the nucleus. Nucleus contain hereditary material, that is DNA, right? This is the DNA. This is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, DNA is present. External to the nucleus, there is cytoplasm, right? So far, we have discussed about the transfer of genetic material, that is DNA, from one generation to the next generation. Because nucleus contain chromosomes and chromosomes contain genes, when these genes are transferred, the characters are also transferred from one generation to next generation. That means the nuclear part is involved so far. Therefore, this inheritance is called nuclear inheritance. Nuclear inheritance. It is also called as chromosomal inheritance. Chromosomal inheritance. Nuclear inheritance is also called chromosomal inheritance. The common inheritance, the regular and normal inheritance is this nuclear inheritance. We have discussed so many concepts related to this inheritance, that is nuclear inheritance or chromosomal inheritance, right? Now, see here, outer to the nucleus, there is a cytoplasm, right? In the cytoplasm, there are several cell organelles. For example, see, this is Golgi complex, and here there is endoplasmic reticulum, like this. Along with that, there are ribosomes, lysosomes, peroxisomes, and chloroplasts, right? Chloroplasts, mitochondria, etc. are present in the cytoplasm. That means cell organelles are located in the cytoplasm. Among these, some cell organelles are non-membranous, some are single membranous, and some are double membranous cell organelles. Out of all these cell organelles, in the two cell organelles, namely chloroplast and mitochondria, chloroplast and mitochondria, there is DNA. See this is the chloroplast, this is the mitochondria. These are the double membranous cell organelles. These two cell organelles are present in plant cells. Eukaryotic plant cells contain both chloroplast and mitochondria. Eukaryotic animal cell contain only mitochondria. These two are the double membranous cell organelles. These cell organelles contain single, circular, double-stranded, naked DNA. This is the DNA. This is the DNA of the chloroplast, commonly called plastid DNA. This is the DNA of the mitochondria, mitochondrial DNA. So as these DNA are present in the organelles, this is also called organelle DNA. This is organelle DNA. These are because chloroplast and mitochondria are organelles. As these organelles contain DNA, this is called organelle DNA. And these DNA are single, circular, double-stranded, and naked. Single, circular, double-stranded, and naked DNA are present. Why these DNA are naked? Because of the absence of histone proteins. In the organelle DNA, histone proteins are absent, hence it is called naked DNA, right? Now, like the nuclear DNA, these organelle DNA also contain genes, and such genes are called as plasma genes. These are called plasma genes. What are plasma genes? The genes present in the DNA of the cell organelles such as plastid and mitochondria are called as plasma genes. I think I understand what are plasma genes. Very important point. The genes present in the chloroplast DNA and mitochondrial DNA are called as plasma genes. Similarly, you know haploid set of chromosomes. One set of chromosomes present in the cell is known as haploid. Similarly, the sum total of genes present in the cytoplasm of the cell is called plasmon. What is plasmon? All the genes present in the cytoplasm of the entire cell is called as plasmon. The genes present in the organelles present in the cytoplasm are called plasma genes. All the genes, the sum total of the genes present in the cell is known as plasmon. Like the genes present in the nuclear material carry the characters from one generation to next generation, even these plasma genes are also carry the characters from one generation to next generation. So that means the genes present here are also similar to that of here, right? And these genes carry the genetic material, carry the information from one generation to next generation through the cytoplasm only. Very important point, because these are present in the cytoplasm. When cytoplasm is transferred, the genes are also transferred. Automatically, the characters which code these genes are also transferred. That is the reason why, as these characters are transmitted from one generation to the next generation through the cytoplasm, the inheritance is called as cytoplasmic inheritance. I think you understand. This is called cytoplasmic inheritance because cytoplasm contains these DNA, and when cytoplasm is transferred from one generation to next, automatically these plasma genes are also transferred, and hence inheritance occur. That inheritance is called cytoplasmic inheritance. That is known as cytoplasmic inheritance, right? And this is also called extranuclear or extra chromosomal inheritance. Extranuclear inheritance or extra chromosomal inheritance because it is present outside the nucleus, therefore extranuclear. they are present other than the chromosomes. They are called extra chromosomal. All are same. Cytoplasmic inheritance is also called extranuclear inheritance, also called extra chromosomal inheritance, right? And now cytoplasm is transferred automatically. The characters are also transferred, particularly this DNA, right here. Suppose this is the female gamete. This is the female gamete. And this is the male gamete, right? Generally, you know, male gametes are small in size, contain very small quantity of cytoplasm. Female gametes are large, contain large amount of cytoplasm. In all, whether it's plant or animal, generally the size of female gamete or egg or ovum is large, and the male gamete is very small in size. It contains more amount of cytoplasm, it contains less amount of cytoplasm. During fertilization, when these two gametes are fused, zygote is produced, right? Zygote is produced. In the zygote, the nuclear part of this one and the nuclear part of this one equally enters. That means contribution of nuclear part, contribution of nuclear part is equal, right? That means it produces one set and it gives one set of chromosomes, it gives one set of chromosomes, now it becomes a diploid, right? So as far as the nuclear material is concerned, the zygote receive equal amount, this one, and that means as far as the nuclear part is concerned, both receive, that means this will receive equal amount. But see, this is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm in the zygote comes only from the female but not from the male, because male contain very little or no cytoplasm. Therefore, the total cytoplasm is contributed by female part only. Nuclear part is from both the parents, but cytoplasmic part is from the female. That means female contribute cytoplasm. All the genes that enters into this zygote comes only from the female but not from the male. Therefore, cytoplasmic inheritance is contributed by female only but not male. That is why cytoplasmic inheritance is also called maternal inheritance. It is also called maternal inheritance. I think you understand. That means cytoplasm, that means, for example, if you consider human cells, for example, in our body, all the genes present in the cytoplasm comes from our mother only. But regarding nuclear part, we receive both equally from mother and father. That is the reason why this is called cytoplasmic inheritance. So the contribution of cytoplasm is by only the female but not the male. I think you understand regarding cytoplasmic inheritance. So what is cytoplasmic inheritance? Cytoplasm contain DNA. DNA contain plasma genes, and like normal genes, it carry the genetic information. Like normal nuclear genes, it also undergo mutations. Yes, these plasma genes also undergo mutations, and it also carry the information. But here the important point is, during fertilization of male and female gametes fused, the nuclear part is contributed equally by both the gametes, but cytoplasm is contributed by only the female, because female contain large amount of cytoplasm. Therefore, all the genes present in the female gamete are transferred into the next generation, but not the male, because male gamete contain very little amount of cytoplasm. Therefore, the entire female cytoplasm is transferred into the next generation. All the characters are transferred from the female only into the next generation. That is why this is called cytoplasmic inheritance. This is also called as maternal inheritance, because the cytoplasm of the mother is involved in this process. I think you are following and understanding the concept. And now, this cytoplasmic inheritance is divided into two types. Cytoplasmic inheritance is of two types. One is maternal inheritance. Second one is organelle inheritance. First one, maternal inheritance. Maternal inheritance, or the maternal effect, you may call it as maternal effect. Maternal inheritance or maternal effect. See, the best example to understand this maternal inheritance is shell coiling in snails. Shell coiling in snails. Shell coiling in snails. Alfred Sturtevant studied shell coiling in freshwater snail, that is Limnia peregra. What is the zoological name of freshwater snail? That is Limnia peregra. Limnia peregra is the zoological name of freshwater snail, and Sturtevant studied shell coiling in snails, and the shell coiling in snails is controlled by the genes of the cytoplasm, that is the cytoplasm of the mother. That is why it is an example for maternal inheritance. So let us discuss about this shell coiling. Direction of coiling of the shell. We're talking about direction of coiling. It shows two types of coiling. Clockwise, when you look at the top of the snail on the shell, you will see the coiling, right? It may show clockwise or right-handed coiling. In some snails, it is anti-clockwise or left-handed coiling. This is right-handed coiling, and this is left-handed coiling like this. This is called dextral coiling. Nothing but right-handed coiling. Right-handed coiling or clockwise coiling. This is called sinistral. Sinistral coiling. It is left-handed coiling. It is left-handed coiling. It is right-handed coiling, right? This is clockwise. This is anti-clockwise. And this is dominant. And this is recessive. This is dominant. This is recessive. Capital D, and this is small d, small d. So first you try to understand the characters of the snail. Shell coiling in snail is an example for maternal inheritance. the maternal effect. Sturtevant studied the shell coiling and he finally concluded that's controlled by cytoplasm, the genes present in the cytoplasm. In these snails, two types of coiling are there: dextral coiling, sinistral coiling. Dextral means right-handed coiling or clockwise coiling. Sinistral means left-handed coiling or anti-clockwise coiling. And this dextral is dominant, represented by capital D, capital D. Sinistral is recessive, represented by small d, right? Now, when dominant, now I will cross here, both of them. When dextral male, this is male, dextral is crossed with sinistral female. Sinistral female. Listen carefully and understand, we are talking about maternal inheritance. That means cytoplasm of the female only responsible for shell coiling. We don't follow Mendelian inheritance or regular inheritance, where we have seen only the nuclear part. Here this is contributed by female cytoplasm, and this is a predetermined one. Cytoplasmic inheritance or maternal inheritance is a predetermined. We know whether this is going to get or not. We can predict. Therefore, it is a predetermined one. What is the other name for maternal inheritance? It is a predetermination, right? See this. Dextral, capital D, capital D. Okay. Sinistral, small d, right? Now, when these two are crossed, F1 snails were obtained, right? But according to Mendel's law, you will get capital D, small d, all dextral if it is dominant. Is it right? No, we are not talking about Mendelian inheritance. Here we are talking about cytoplasmic inheritance. That means only we have to think about the female. Female cytoplasm contain dominant gene. Yes, dextral will obtain. No, it cannot. So based on that, tell me the F1 snails. See, it produced this gamete. It produced this gamete. Think that this is male gamete. Male gamete cytoplasm is not contributed into the next generation. Only the female cytoplasm is contributed. Is it right? Therefore, when these are crossed, we will get capital D, small d. What we get, what we expected to get, whether sinistral or dextral, only sinistral. Why? All F1 are sinistral. Why all F1 are sinistral? See, the genotype, that is small d, unable to produce a protein that is able to coil dextrally. Dextral coiling protein is not produced because it is the recessive one. Therefore, the female contributed cytoplasm does not have the protein to synthesize dextral. Therefore, sinistral were obtained. Sinistral were obtained. So that means the phenotype of this one depends on the mother, that is female. I think you are following, right? And now, when F1 are intercrossed, F2 were obtained. Now let us see, when F1 are intercrossed, what kind of F2 individuals were obtained? That is F1 sinistral, F1 female sinistral crossed with F1 male sinistral. Yes, you are right. So some are males and some are females. Sinistrals are produced. Now what we are doing? F1 is intercrossing. That means F1 female sinistral is crossed with F1 male sinistral, right? The genotypes are capital D, small d, capital D, small d. Now, in the form of Punnett square, if you draw like this, you will get 4 combinations, right? This can form 2 types of gametes and this can form 1 type of gamete. Sorry, this one also form 2 types of gametes, right? Now, this one and this one, capital D, capital D, capital D, small d, capital D, small d, small d, small d. Now, what are the phenotypes? Remember, this will not contribute anything else because it is a male. Male cytoplasm is not transferred. Only female cytoplasm will decide whether dextral coiling or sinistral coiling is going to be produced. Right? Sinistral, see this? In this case, as it contains recessive, it is unable to produce the dextral coiling. But here there is a dominant gene. Even though it is sinistral, now it is having dominant allele. Now it is able to synthesize a protein responsible for dextral coiling. Therefore, these gametes contain cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, definitely dextral coiling producing substance is there. Is it right? Because of the presence of this one. We don't talk about this one because even though dominant genes are present, here cytoplasm is not contributed because this character is controlled by cytoplasmic inheritance, cytoplasmic genes. Listen carefully. Please try to understand. Very interesting and very important. This inheritance. Therefore, this when combined with this one, this cytoplasm will decide this one also and this one also, like that. Therefore, as this contain protein which is able to synthesize dextral coiling, all dextral were produced. This is dextral, this is dextral, this is dextral, this is dextral. You may have doubt here why it is dextral, because here the female contain the protein that is able to synthesize dextral coiling, that is carried into this one also. Therefore, all are dextral in the F2. Is it right? This is the F2, this is the F1. I will tell you once again. When dextral male is crossed with the sinistral female, in F1 all sinistral were obtained. When F1 are intercrossed, in the F2 all dextral were obtained, because this female is able to produce dextral coiling because it contains capital D, dominant allele, therefore all dextral. But in the third generation, that is in the F3 generation, what kind is produced? See, in the F3 generation, I will take this one as female. In the F3, now I am taking this one as female. Continuation of this experiment. Small d, small d. What is this? What is this? Dextral, right? Dextral. Why it is dextral? Because it received from the mother. The mother's gamete contain the protein. Therefore, it becomes dextral. Now we can think immediately, is it able to produce this protein unto the next generation? No, it cannot. Already it received from the mother. This phenotype of this one is decided by the mother. The phenotype of this individual is decided by this mother. Now, this one, in order to produce the next generation, it must not have capital allele gene. Therefore, it is unable to produce. Therefore, see here, capital D, dextral. This is male. I'm taking this is as male and this one as female, right? Now, what happens in the third generation? See this. This can produce 2 types of gametes. This can produce this can produce one type and this can produce one type. One type of gamete, one type of gamete, like this. Now, when you cross capital D, small d, capital D, small d, capital D, small d, capital D, small d, all are one type are produced. Decide, and the phenotypes are already decided. Now, this receive from their mother, but this do not have to transfer into the next their children. So therefore, what happened? This do not have any protein to synthesize the dextral, but it received from the mother. But in order to produce, it does not have capital allele. Therefore, all are sinistral, 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 and sinistral. Like that, we can predict what is going to be happen in the next generation. That is why it is controlled by the female. It is a predetermined one. This is the best example. I think you understand. Shell coiling in snails is an example for maternal effect. So, first thing you should remember, male does not contribute the cytoplasmic part. Only the female is able to. So, you have to think that, is it able to synthesize dextral? No. Is it able to synthesize dextral? Yes, because it has dominant allele. Is it able to synthesize? No, cannot produce next. The phenotype of this one is decided by this one. The phenotype of this one is decided by this one. I think you understand easily. The phenotype of F1 is decided by the parent. The phenotype of F2 is decided by the F1. The genotype of F3 is decided by this one in case in this cross. Therefore, we can say before the organism is produced, that is during the time of gamete formation only, we can decide. That is why this is called maternal inheritance, is a kind of predetermination. It is a kind of predetermination. I hope all of you following, right? And now, the second example is organelle inheritance. Organelle inheritance. Organelle inheritance. This organelle inheritance was first studied by Currens in Mirabilis jalapa. Organelle inheritance was first studied by Currens in Mirabilis jalapa. You know very well, there are two organelles. One is chloroplast, nothing but plastid. And second one is mitochondria. Mitochondria. Chloroplast and mitochondria. Right? This contain DNA. This also contain DNA. Try to recollect. These two are self-duplicating cell organelles. These two are self-duplicating cell organelles. And these are also called semi-autonomous cell organelles, right? The semi-genetic autonomy of these two cell organelles is due to the presence of DNA. These are self-duplicating. For example, mitochondria, one mitochondria produce two mitochondria by fission. Similarly, one chloroplast duplicate and produce other chloroplast because of the presence of the DNA. And I told you that these organelles contain DNA and these organelles also contain genes. And as the genes are transferred through cytoplasm, automatically the characters which code these genes are also transferred, right? And now, suppose the DNA of the chloroplast or plastid undergo certain mutations, and those mutations are carried into the next generation. So like that, there are several examples are there which indicates that these are due to so and so cytoplasmic inheritance. Okay, the examples for organelle inheritance. First one is IOJAP mutants in maize. IOJAP mutants in maize. In maize, there is a plastid. The plastids contain DNA, and when these DNA undergo certain mutations, those are carried into the next generation. As a result, mutants are produced. Those mutants are called as IOJAPs. And these IOJAP mutants are characterized by the presence of green and white striped leaves are produced. Green and white striped leaves in maize is due to plastid inheritance. I think you understand. Green colored, white colored stripes formed on the maize leaves are due to cytoplasmic inheritance or organelle inheritance. So when this DNA present in the plastid undergo mutations, those mutations are carried into the next generation plants. As a result, you can find some mutant type of maize varieties. Those are characterized by green and white striped leaves are best example, right? So IOJAPs in maize is an example for plastid inheritance. IOJAP mutants in maize is an example for plastid inheritance. First point you should remember. Second one is POKI mutants in a fungus called Neurospora. Neurospora crassa. Neurospora crassa is a fungus. Neurospora crassa is a fungus. In this fungus, due to imbalance in the mitochondria, different types of mutants are produced. Those mutants are called as POKI mutants. That means because of the mutants in DNA, that means because of change in the DNA of mitochondria, in the next generation that is transferred. As a result, POKIs are produced. POKIs. That means in the mitochondria, there is an imbalance in the formation of subunits of ribosome like that. Because of those imbalance in mitochondria deficiencies, POKI mutants are produced. So these POKI mutants are not due to nuclear inheritance, but these are due to organelle inheritance, that is mitochondrial inheritance. This is one example. And third one is pitites in yeasts. Pitite mutants in yeast. You know, yeast is a unicellular fungi. Yeast is a unicellular fungus. Its botanical name is Saccharomyces. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, right? This is a yeast. Yeast is a fungus. Yeast is a unicellular eukaryote. Unicellular eukaryote. And now in these yeasts, when mitochondria are transferred from one generation to another generation, when there is a mutation in the gene, in the DNA, those mutations are carried forward into the next generation and causes one type of mutants. Those mutants are called as pitites. They behave differently from that of normal ones, and these are called as, this is also due to change in the mitochondria. Therefore, these are also an example for organelle inheritance. Which organelle inheritance? That is mitochondrial inheritance. Peptides in yeast, Pokey mutants in fungi Neurospora are due to mitochondrial inheritance, mitochondrial DNA inheritance. Iojops in maize are due to plastid inheritance. Try to make it clear. Everybody should concentrate. So I told you here 3 examples. What I am telling here is, like nuclear material transferred from one generation to next generation, cytoplasm contain these DNA. When these DNA are also transferred, the characters are also transferred. When mutation occurs in these, those mutations are also transferred into the next generation. So based on that, I am telling some examples. Sometimes it may be asked in examination. Example for plastid inheritance. Iojop mutants in maize. These mutant varieties of plants produced due to transfer of DNA through cytoplasm. These mutants are characterized by green colored, white colored, striped leaves formed on the leaves. So these are due to organelle inheritance, but not due to cytoplasmic nuclear inheritance. Similarly, Pokey in fungi such as Neurospora and peptides in yeast are due to mitochondrial DNA inheritance. Right? Mitochondrial DNA inheritance. These two, because these are fungi, these are non-chlorophyllous, they do not contain chloroplasts, therefore mitochondria are present. When mitochondrial DNA undergo any change or mutation, that mutation is carried into the next generation. The best example for such mutations are Pokey mutants in Neurospora, peptide mutants in yeast, that is Saccharomyces. And finally, for cytoplasmic inheritance, I will tell you 2 more examples also. You try to remember. 2 more examples for cytoplasmic inheritance. Additionally, 1, cytoplasmic male sterility. Cytoplasmic male sterility in maize is also example for cytoplasmic inheritance. So I told you already, shell coiling in snail, and second one is cytoplasmic male sterility, second one, and third one is plastid inheritance in Mirabilis jalapa. This is also example for cytoplasmic inheritance. Of course, these organelle and maternal are 2 different types of the same inheritance, that is cytoplasmic inheritance. So shell coiling in snails, second one plastid inheritance in Mirabilis jalapa, and third one cytoplasmic male sterility in maize. Male sterility means male, that is pollen grains are unable to germinate, they are sterile, and that is male sterility in maize is another example. And finally, kappa particles in paramecium. Kappa particles in paramecium, which is studied by a scientist called Sunny Bourne. Sunny Bourne studied kappa particles in paramecium is also example for cytoplasmic inheritance. So I am telling two additional examples for cytoplasmic inheritance. One is cytoplasmic male sterility in maize. Second one, kappa particles in paramecium. This was studied by Sunny Bond. So these are the examples of cytoplasmic inheritance. So I told you this one. You think if you take a dextral female with sinistral male, what kind of individuals are obtained? I have given one example by taking dextral male with sinistral female, and like that F1R or sinistral. Then you think dextral female is crossed with sinistral male, what kind of individuals are obtained? So in every case, what you have to remember is, you have to think about the cytoplasm of the mother, whether it contains the dominant or recessive. You have to think like that only. This is about cytoplasmic inheritance. I hope students you understood, and you read once again so that you will get the clarity. And that's all today regarding this one. And tomorrow we continue with a new topic. That's all. Thank you one and all.